And who knows, maybe that would be one explanation as well. But he pretty much, by the time he got up to college level, he pretty much got a full ride to almost any school he wanted to. So, and he, of course, graduated and didn't have to pay a single penny going to school and everything. And he's turned out to do being pretty successful right now. So, motherfucker.
Yeah, thank you. Miss Kirsten, what do you say about them?
About gifted people?
Children.
Well, I think a lot of that also has a lot to do with geographically where you're born, and what societal demands you have. So I think the idea of gifted, if you're born in an Amazon tribe or some sort of indigenous group, that kind of gifted person is going to look and behave very much differently than a Western European person that's always had certain amounts of nutrition, genetic influencing, a lot of education. I think you're gonna see the representations of what the society thinks is a gifted or successful individual. So I don't know really that there's a consistent, cultural litmus on that either.
How about you, Marino? What do you think about that? About those gifted children, or even people who may not know anything, let's say anything about Buddhism, let's say like your family's member, right? Your dad, your mom. But suddenly when you share with them and that enlighten them, what do you think?
I think that there is such a thing as people that are more predisposed to learning things quicker than other people. And that might have to do with the idea that consciousness is linked to the past and the present. So perhaps some people are able to tap into the consciousness that they had of the past and thus be able to perform better in this lifetime. And some people might be more attached to the ego and thus be less able to tap into that consciousness.
Wow, thank you. That's wonderful. How about you, Vivian? What do you think about gifted children or someone that may not know much about anything like computer, math, but somehow they feel good with that?
Yeah, it's just like, I wonder, because it's hard. It's trying to like differentiate between Western and like Eastern like ways of thinking is like hard for me because then I get them mixed up. But like, I don't know, it's like the family you're born into and like what they also like, what they emphasize or how they work and like how they see the world. Because my mom is very mathematical. My mom is like, she memorizes numbers so well. And like, for me, like I got that from my mom because like I saw her doing it a lot and her practicing it a lot. And like, I started to pick it up as a game, but like, it's different for my little sister who like, doesn't have like that, like photographic memory like that, but she has like emotional memory better. So it's just like, we're born with different brains. We have like the same, like kind of similar upbringing, like we're siblings, but we still end up being different, but we're still the same. I don't know. I'm just right.
Thank you. About Josh, what do you think?
I always like bristle at the idea of gifted because like what is gifted is usually determined by the context of where you're at and what you're doing. So like there are lots of kids that are gifted in ways that don't show up until later in life, or like just don't show up at all. Like in a school, there are kids that are really gifted in things that a school doesn't measure and doesn't appreciate. And so helping them find that is kind of important.
And
Where
also-
that comes from, I don't know.
Yeah, well, also, I think a lot of that too, and kind of what I was saying, culturally, like what's invested into certain gifts, whatever, if you took a piano or, I don't know, some sort of instrument that somebody wasn't used to hearing, and some kid just magically could play it, but nobody understood that, like what complicated music that was, they would just look at that kid and go, playing on this instrument. But if that same kid in a different situation where everybody just adored that music, it's a gift.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of that's dependent too on who's recognizing this.
Yeah, that's again not talking about gifted children, but even everyone of us have different skill, right? Has different expertise, right? Some of us are left-handed, some of us are right-handed. Some of us really good in writing, some of us good in talking, right?
Yeah.
Some of us good in drawing, some of us good in good with computer technology. Like Aaron, like George, he's pretty good in pitching those kind of 3D printer, and he assemble is quickly. I think for me it may take a couple of days, but for him it's a couple of hours, right? So anyway, so everyone of us has different ability. Everyone of us has different special skill, right? So Anand, how could you explain that? How could you explain in any way, in logical way, that everyone of us has different skill set?
Yeah, more Phật thầy. Yeah, hello everyone. I cannot explain, but I can kind of help from my own kind of perspective. Is when we have, let's say we have two genetically, we talk about genetically. Well, both parents pass on your genetic genes, right? So 50-50 we get. If usually, well, if your parents are usually, let's say in general, I'm talking about, let's say mathematics. If your parent usually good in mathematics, usually your kid gonna be naturally have good in mathematics. But sometimes the kids can be, let's say that's very normal situation, but you have somebody beyond that gifted or something beyond a unique skill that no one in the family has it. To me, I felt that it's probably a blessing, but it is probably something that innate. Like I'm not sure if the other gentleman, Marino, mentioned. It's not tap into the subconsciousness and so on and so forth, that it kind of built up from your past experience, past life, or past repertoire or reservoir that you naturally gravitate to it. So like now, whenever I go to temple, or I happen to born in Vietnam, and it's more traditional Buddhism, but when I go to over the years that I have been, I always kind of gravitate toward area that I related to Buddhism, but I never, actually involved as much in Buddhism. But it's kind of like antenna. If you have a similar frequency, you tend to gravitate toward that same thing that you have expertise, or what you call expertise or special skill. So sometimes from my perspective, is that because you gravitate toward that, that's when you have something magnetically kind of attach you toward that path that you have been in your past karma life. So for those gifted children, they may have been very talented or very good practicing piano in my past life. Okay, and now when they see a piano, it's a natural thing for them to kind of like, oh, it's something subconscious. I have been there. I have used that before. It's easier for him or her to pick up instantaneously, rather than us. Maybe I always read book, but now tell me to play piano, I cannot do that. However, if I'm doing math or numbers, it naturally gravitate me more toward that direction. So if I die, and my what you call it, subconscious, or one of this thing that we store, number 6 and number 7, and if I'm still attached to ego, and I imagine the next life that I be in, then I would probably gravitate toward in that direction. If I want to be a monk, I would tend to do more of things in this life, like go more toward Buddhism, temple, meditation, so on and so forth. And then naturally, next life, I would be more inclined to kind of involve in that area. That's what I think. Thank you, Thầy.
Ben, you want to share anything about your own specialty, your own special skill that may be different from others, or even gifted children and so forth? What do you think?
Yeah. So on the knowledge bank and skills, okay, what came to mind was I used to be an A student and very logical. I could pass a college class, it was no problem. In 2013, I sustained a traumatic brain injury, so things changed for me. It was really hard to read. It was hard to memorize things. I had to relearn everything in the past, and still to this day, I still don't have the capacity that I used to. But on another note, I've become a student of classical music. I've gotten more interested in the religions like Buddhism. It's the meditation for me is so helpful in calming the mind and the anxiety. And there is so much to the human brain and consciousness that I don't personally understand, but that has come to light. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Martha, this is our protocol. So everyone has a chance to discuss about the views, whichever subject we talk about. If you want to share, what do you think in our conversation? You can join in, Martha. If you like,
Yes.
yeah. If you don't feel comfortable, it's up to you. That's okay too.
No, yeah, I can. I kind of didn't understand very well. The question is why some people have some talents. Was that your question?
Yeah, some of us, everyone of us has different talent, different specialty, different skill set, and so forth.
Right.
That.
I think everything is related to past lives, and I'm a strong believer. The more you give, the more you receive. So, like if you develop that work toward others in a specific skill, maybe you received it in the next life. But I can be wrong. I don't know. It's something, I think is something, strong connection to past life. And like, for example, if in the past life you taught to other people, you taught them how to write, maybe in this life you have the opportunity to have many teachers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, maybe, I don't know. No. I think it's, I don't know.
All right.
It has to make sense. So I don't know.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Actually, in Buddhist view, they say that if you offer the food to people in the future, you get more food. Yeah. If you give water to people, right, in future you have more water, because what you give out there you get back eventually. That's what we call about the karma. But he will talk about the information here that our mind, or in Buddhist view, our consciousness retain them. So here, this is the charge. All the input from an external environment will affect to our language, our memory, decisions, the belief, and so forth. But at the same time, our memory, decision, belief, and so forth will transform, will translate or modify those information according to our backgrounds, our value, our attitude. So it becomes an internal reality of our life, and it will shape how we behave. It will shape how we interact back with the external environment later on. So one more time, let me go down here. Yes.
I have something. I don't know if you guys think this is worthy of part of this, but this thing. So we all kind of think that we have like free will, right? Does everybody sort of think we have free will? Well, this happened 2 years ago, and I spend not a lot of time, but time thinking about this technological singularity. Anyways, they were able to put an interface in a monkey's brain, and the monkey's playing this video game. But the interface had collected so much of the data of how the monkey was going to play the game that it was really the computer predicted before the monkey did it. So you can look this study up. It's so we're all but karma. So one of the translations is conditioned volition, right? That's all this like moving set of circumstance. So in a scientific sense, from what I'm relating this study with, where we really might not have as much free will as we really think, that's also the karma, this conditioned volition that's anyways.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, go back to here. The point I want to say is that the input here, whether it's come from our parents or teacher teaching, it's come from the genetic way that we receive from our parents, it come from our culture and so forth, right? It affects to our five sense organ, attention, working memory, logic, reasoning, and so forth. So in Buddhist view, whichever thing we like, we will put in the deep karma here, what they call the storage karma, storage bank or knowledge bank here. Now we talk not only in the past, in this lifetime, but limitless past life, right? So that's whichever thing, for example, from morning to night, right? Let's just say this morning we have interact with other people, those kind of information, those kind of sound, design, and so forth. We keep, if we like, in Buddhist view, as much as we like them, we store here. Even on the opposite way, if we don't like them, we still save here. That's why, let's say, Marino, let's say your country is, what's your hometown country? I forgot.
El Salvador.
El Salvador, right?
Yeah.
What is the best food over there to compare with United food, with your American food?
The pupusas for sure.
Which one? Which one is that?
The pupusas.
What's that? What's about?
It's a dish.
A dish? How is that? Is that spicy? Is that
it's
spicy?
like tortilla with cheese fillings.
Oh.
With cheese inside of it. It's quite traditional, and it's healthier.
Oh, really? So your mom used to cook for you here?
Yeah, my grandma just came around and she just cooked
right.
that dish.
Any restaurant that may have that type of dishes?
I actually have a dish right here.
Oh, wonderful.
He's like, this is the best.
Yeah. He's got the business in El Salvador. Yeah, so he's my student. He took my class, two classes. How look like a lot of cheese?
They're usually vegetarian, but they can have meat inside of them, and they look like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's making me hungry.
They're like
okay.
cornbread. If somebody saw Encanto, they're like arepas. But the thing is that every single Latin American country is gonna tell you that it's theirs, so it's a very.
So you slide in between. You slide the cheese.
Yeah. Inside of it, it's like cheese.
Oh,
Beans,
I didn't see.
any fillings.
Okay. All right. So in Chinese and Vietnamese, even you know bánh bao, right? Mין bao, you know that? It's similar, but it's bigger, right? In big shape, right?
Big chip.
Yeah. So they fried it or they cooked it or how they make it?
You can fry it afterwards, or you can eat it straight up from the little grill thing that they do it with.
So in Houston, it's easy to find this kind of food around on not easy.
No, actually, it's I
No?
I have
Okay.
to import my grandmother for her to do it.
Okay, that's nice. Well, anyway, so the reason why I want to ask because you get used of eating that kind of. Can you type the names of that food? I could not get that. Type on chat.
Oh,
Type
yeah.
on chat here. Yeah. So because you get used of that when you was young, right? Up to now, you build up with that type of proposal. Wow. Okay. So that's why it's you enjoy that, but for us we may not, right? So, but in our Vietnamese tradition, William, you know phở, right? You heard about phở, right?
Yes.
Okay. So probably Becca, about Josh and Kelly, you know what's meant by phở?
Yes.
Oh, you know that. Oh,
Yes.
oh, be surprised. Marino, you know what's meant by phở? You know what's mean?
Oh,
No. Becca, you know what's mean? Probably you may not know, right?
Yes. Oh no,
No.
I do. It's my favorite food.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where did
Yes.
you get that? Is this from the Vietnamese restaurant in Louisville or where?
We actually have one. We have a Vietnamese pho restaurant on Charlestown Road in New Albany. So I go there every week. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so they sell this kind of special Vietnamese noodle there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, okay. See, so my point is that when we get used of some food, some kind of things, it become part of our life because we save those information in our what they call knowledge bank, the storage consciousness. That's number 8 for many past life plus this lifetime too. So, but on on opposite side, if we don't like anything, we still keep them or store them in that consciousness too. For example, like Vivian, when you go to college, when you went to college, right? You when you went out to work, sometimes you may have time with someone else, right? So they may or you may remember about them more than the one that you pass by on the street, right? So my point is that in Buddhist view, whichever thing we store here, those kind of information will be gravitate to us, or we just check them. So that or whichever thing we like, we stay up there. Whichever thing we don't like, we still stay up there. That's why they say that the more you dislike something, the more they come to you. You know about that, Marino? You understand that? The more you dislike something or someone, the more they come to you.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think that anything in life, it's supposed to teach you something.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is something that you dislike completely and thoroughly and with passion, it has to come to your life because it's in a way trying to show you that you have to overcome your hatred for it in order to be better in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So William, what do you think about, yes, the thing we like, we want to store in our consciousness, right? But what happened? The thing that we don't like, why we still store them in our consciousness? Why is that?
Well, if we want to avoid them, then knowing about them and being familiar with them is the how it would make sense to try to avoid them. So if we know that we don't like this sort of animal, well, this sort of animal lives under logs, so we're not going to go hang around places where it can jump out at us from under logs. So that would be what I would think.
Yeah. So let's say that the more we resist, the more it persists. It makes sense, right? Actually, the more we resist, the more we reject. It imprints in our consciousness, in our knowledge bank here. That's why it's easy for us to remember someone that stepped on our foot, right? And of course, that's why people have some kind of hatred toward each other, because they carry on through many years, right?
I have a really good example of that.
Yes.
So my wife, Lisa, she hates spiders. And somehow they're like, whenever, I never have any problems with spiders, but like there are spiders around Lisa so frequently, whether she's just noticing them more or whether they're around her more. I think that's debatable. But
It's Bader Meinhof.
She feels when there's a spider nearby. And it seems like whenever I'm with her, there are more spiders. Like spiders are more of an issue.
That's actually called Bader Meinhof phenomena.
What is
what phenomena?
Bader Meinhof. So
Bader Meinhof.
BADERMEINHOFF, and it's the phenomena that like once something is like brought to your attention, you will continue to notice it. So let's say you get a red Honda, you're gonna notice all the red Hondas. You're not gonna pay attention to all the blue Acuras.
Wow. Well,
So I mean that's it simplified, but it's a cognitive process that humans have. Yeah.
Wow,
It's also like situations where like if she would have just sat down, like if she hadn't have been extra paranoid about spiders, there was a spider dangling above where she was going to sit. You know, there've been multiple situations she's avoided because of her paranoia that I have never found myself in. That I never think about spiders, period, and I never have a problem. But she's such that if she doesn't think about them all the time, there have been multiple instances where otherwise she would have had like a spider land on her or have one sitting next to her that would have crawled on her. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Marino? What do you want to say, Marino?
Oh yeah, I wanted to say that it's kind of like the pink elephant phenomenon. The more you try to not think about a pink elephant, the more you're going to think about a pink elephant. And you can try it right now. Just try not to think about a pink elephant, and you are going to think about it.
Okay. How about Kaylee? When you teach the little one, right? So sometimes they scare up spider and so forth, right? Right.
I think about more at my house where we live out in the country in a really old house and cockroaches creep me out. And I always notice the cockroaches, but then we have ladybugs and stink bugs everywhere and they don't bother me at all. But I see a cockroach and I'm like, you have to get outside. But the stink bugs, I'm like, hey, what's up? You're fine.
Yeah. So George, this is mentioned, right? The more, right, what Miss Kirsten just mentioned, right? The more we pay attention on any object, right? Whether it's like dislike.
Right. Well, and that's why like certain practices, like Buddhist practices, let's say loving kindness practice. The way that works is you spend enough time thinking about how to extend loving kindness, your natural inclination is going to be towards loving kindness. Now, if you incline yourself to like boxing and like fighting all the time, your inclination is going to be to notice, boxers and things you can fight or what you need to be on alert for. So yeah, you condition your circumstances to a certain degree like that.
Yeah. And that's why, right, George, right? You teach so many students, right? Sometimes you recognize them, they appear good in writing, in speaking, and so forth, right?
Yeah, this reminds me, there's a saying we talk about that whatever fires together wires together. So like the more you use a pathway in your brain, the stronger that pathway gets. And so that sort of is physically ingraining these patterns into your brain.
Yeah. So that's why no strength. Everyone of us has different expertise. Everyone of us has different skill set. So that's why I used to tell my students, even the youth, that you need to develop your skill or your expertise in the fully potential way. Otherwise, if we compare, right, to other people, for example, let's say if I'm good at writing, but somehow I see other people, they paint so beautifully. If I wanted to compare and compete with them, there's no way, right? So we need to recognize in our ability to develop that type of skill setting, that type of expertise, because we build in whichever way we explain in Buddhist view, we have stored those kind of information in this kind of what we call knowledge bank, or the deep comma or storage comma here in the eight consciousness. So that's why it go with us. Of course, they may be changeable. They may be delete and add on. So we like in our lifetime, right? We may build on some type of special skill that we may have learned before, or we have not learned before. For example, so some people ask me when they went to college, right? For the first 4 years, I finished my engineer degree, and so how could I go into different field? I mean, the real world different field, the research field. Again, probably in my past life, I store this type of religious practice, Buddhist practice, like some of you mentioned, that if we ingrain with those kind of information in the past life or even this lifetime, we get use of that, right? Besides the information that we receive from our parents, from our teacher, and so forth. So this is Buddhist theories. Again, for me, it is somehow it's compatible with what we call about knowledge bank here, right? We set here, not only this lifetime, but the next lifetime. So again, the more we do things in the regular basic, they become our habitual patterns, right? And when we move on to the next slide, those couple habitual pattern of information will be carried on. That's what go back to my question at the beginning. How could we recognize who we are in the past, and how could we recognize who we will be in the future? So that's why in Buddhism, it depends on how much information or what kind of information we store here. It makes sense, Becca? You reckon it makes sense?
I think it makes sense, but if you ask me to if you ask me to re-explain it, I don't think I could explain it, but it makes sense what you're saying.
All right. Yes. Okay. Miss Glory. Yeah. Welcome back. Okay. And Stephen, it makes sense, right? The more we store the information in our knowledge bank or in our storage consciousness, the more we get use of that, right?
Yes, more of that. Yes, I understand that.
So let's say your daughter, right? She's good with music, right?
She's getting better at it. Yes.
She's getting better.
Yeah, and she, based on my current lifetime, I mean myself, I found out I enjoy just listening to music, but I am not like a performer. So I don't think she got that from me. So
yeah. Okay, so even when I was little, I want to become a doctor, but I recognize my shortcoming that I have bad memory. I could not remember much in the long term. So that's why when I was young, I went to the engineer field. So again, that's why I used to tell the youth that you need to recognize your own potential, your own expertise, your own skill setting, so that you can develop in the fully way. Because whichever thing we say here more, we have more tendency to gravitate, like An mentioned, right, toward those type of field, profession, and so forth. In my sense, Marino, right?
Yeah.
And even when we talk about any kind of knowledge, any kind of even religion, right? And somehow, like you mentioned recently, probably your parents have learned something about Buddhism before. That's why when you share with them, those kind of information enlighten them, right? You feel that at the beginning? You feel that?
Yeah.
How could you feel? Can you share?
Well, I think that. Can I get the question repeated again?
I mean, okay, yeah, let's go back. Anand, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question, Tai.
Yeah.
So in this eighth consciousness, when we store this database of information, so for example, in meditation practices, are we trying to, the purpose is trying to let go of the six senses, or let go of the six senses so that no more of the bad thoughts are trying to store in the eighth conscious? Or are we trying to meditate so that we can get rid of the garbage in the eighth conscious?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's,
you follow me?
That's good.
I'm just trying to understand the application of that understanding at the process of meditation. We're trying to recognize these six senses that we have. We see all these stream of consciousness coming through. We let it go. But are we letting it go, or we just filter them so that it would not get into, eventually become a routine, so that it would not get into my eighth consciousness?
Okay.
So that eventually, many lives later, we will have only good consciousness in the eighth, right? I'm just trying to understand that.
Yeah, that's one of the important question that when we talk about the storage consciousness. Yeah, sorry, I will go back to your question. Okay, let's go back to Marina. The idea is just you know, probably in the past we have stored all kind of information, right? For example, let's say in my case, probably in the past I have learned Buddhism, practice meditation. So now in this lifetime, I get use of that. It's easy for me.
Yeah.
Right. For other people, let's say, like you share with me before. So let's say for your parents and whoever you share with, right? Somehow before they didn't know much, but now when you share those kind of information, it clicked on them. Probably because they have learned before. Make sense?
Yeah.
Feel that?
Mm-hmm.
How could you feel that they have that type of, what in Buddhism we call affinity, a connection?
Well, in the case of my dad, he was never he never had any contact with Buddhism at all. Neither did my mom. And when I started having Buddhist classes through U of H, and I went to the ceremony, I started translating to my mom, and she agreed with the message. And it was things, my dad had that moment where he said, like, those are the things that I have been teaching you guys as a parent, but I didn't know that this was such a huge part of this religion. So he immediately got like that spark that he identified the knowledge without ever coming into contact with it.
Yeah, so that's why, thank you. That's why in Buddhism, no matter who we are, we may change the form, even we may change the gender when we move on to the next lifetime. But the information that we store in our eight consciousness, what they call the storage consciousness, is still carry on. So that's why when we encounter some information that we have learned before, we have practiced before, it's easy for us to remember. Right? So that's why in Buddhism it's so important for us to recognize or to set out the information that we store there. Right? So and Stephen, is it make sense? Right?
Okay, yes.
So go back to, yep, Miss Kirsten, want to say anything?
Well, yeah, I had a question.
Yes.
I don't know if it was on that chart or not.
Yes.
In Mahayana view, is it only? Okay, I know you said this is like Mahayana. So in Theravada, is it the 5 sense door plus mind?
Yeah, that's all. Only the 6th one, not 7, not 8. These theories come from Mahayana Buddhism, not Theravada. Theravada just mentioned about this system.
So, but in Theravada, it's 6 sense doors because the mind is also a sense, or does Mahayana not have that?
Yeah, the Mahayana developed the idea, the theories of 7 and 8 too. For me, of course, it makes more sense. Yeah. All right. You follow, right?
Well, okay. Well, I'm just wondering, is the 6th? I don't know how to point that out. Is the 6th? Can that go there, or is it always a combination? Is it always a combination?
It's probably always combination of the consciousness. Yeah, the 5 consciousness too. Yeah, go back to An. The question is this wonderful question. We may talk more about that. So the purpose of Buddhist meditation is to clean all the mess here, whether it's good or bad, in the storage consciousness. Let's put it this way. Now, in our life, somehow everyone else has some kind of bias, right? Whether it's with the food, whether with the clothes, whether it's with anything, we have some kind of what we call pre-programming views of life, right? For example, like we like to drink tea, right? If some of us want to drink tea, we would not like to drink other things. Or when we talk about the food, right? Yeah, some of us get used of eating rice. Some of us get used of eating spaghetti or noodle and so forth. You know what I mean? So that's why. Plus on the top that we have some kind of bias, especially toward other people, based on gender, based on race, and so forth. And that's why it gets stuck in that type of bias. So we could not see the beauty behind those kind of things, behind those kind of people. That's why in Buddhist view, we need to transform and clean up this mess here, clean up this storage here, so that it become the pure mirror. Whenever we clean up, we don't create any kind of karma at all. Make sense? So in meditation, we let go of those information, whether it's good or bad information. We let go of those storage information there. Make sense, Anand? So our mind more at peace instead of gravitating to good or bad, right? Instead of gravitating to someone we love so much, we have some kind of that hatred toward other people. Yes, Martha, what's your question?
Yes, as you're explaining, as we have collected patterns for long time in past lives and this one, and until we get into Buddhism, kind of we see with clarity the consequences of our patterns. Now you said as we clean it and we change our patterns, will still have the consequences of our old patterns, or because I always wonder.
Yeah, we still like the one who have attend what shit. They clean up all their mess in their consciousness, consciousness, but they still have to pay for their own karma. For example, one of the Buddha great disciple who has psychic power, but at the end of his life, he was killed because in the past life he killed his parents. Yeah.
So even though you change your consciousness, you still have to kind of pick up the consequences of what you've done, even though you realize that was a wrong action. Correct?
Yeah, like last year you borrow $10,000, right? And up to now you have to pay for that debt. But if you stop borrowing the money, you only pay for that debt. But if you continue to borrow the money, definitely after you pay up the $10,000 for last year, you have to pay back for the thing that you borrow now. It works the same way. Is that right? Is that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So come back to the purpose of meditation. I think this is very interesting topic that we can talk next week too. Yes, and
I would like to understand more when we have more time on this same pattern. Talk about this is because this theory is not theory, but this discussion or this thought process is that only for people or human beings or those who have a consciousness. So for example, a dog or a cat, or if we go down a little lower animal kingdom, like a chicken or birds, if those animals are not humans, they don't have a subconsciousness or consciousness, then would they not be able to get to this process to help them enlighten and get rid of their karma?
Wow, that's good.
You follow me?
Yeah, I follow.
So how would they get to the next realm?
Wow.
If they have no consciousness to know that.
No.
That's just my own thought. If I know a dog probably live with us, maybe they hear more of a mantra, for example. So maybe a dog may have a better karma and a cat than a wild dog, for example.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking.
Thank you. Wow, this is very interesting question. Again, let me sum up before we end because we're late now. Yeah, so basically, any sentient beings, whether it's the dog, the cat, the chicken, even the bug, a mosquito, they still have their own consciousness. But because of their karma, they live in that form of life. Right? So we could talk about that. This is very interesting. Yeah, Miss Glory, you follow? Right?
Yes, I follow.
Yeah. So again, probably next week we talk about that. This is interesting. How we need to do meditation and remain in the unbiased position in any circumstances. If that's the case, we can see things more clear, and also it's easy for us to let go of those bias that we may have, that we have stored in our consciousness there. Okay, yeah, I think we can discuss about this topic next week since our time now. All right, so thank you then. So it's been interesting. It's a lot thing to talk about our consciousness, and if you have some basic information, basic understanding about our consciousness, I think it's much easier for us to understand other things, because in Buddhism it's focused on the mind. All right, so thank you. See you and then. Thank you. See you though. Marina,
Thank you.
a couple
Not everyone.
talk to you. Thank you. See you then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. How you been, Martha? Oh, sorry, Marina. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I've
been great.
Great. Yeah. So this weekend on this Sunday we have Buddha birthday celebration.
This Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out of town from
Oh,
this
you
Saturday.
are?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
With your
But I
parents?
would,
With
yeah,
your
yeah, with my
parents?
parents.
Oh, okay.
We're going abroad
How long? How long we go
Week.
there? Huh?
for a week.
For a week and come back?
Yeah.
Okay. And we have summer camp here for the children. You are only one at home, or you have sibling?
Right now, I'm not sure if my sister is gonna stay at here and do online or go to Austin.
Okay. No, I mean that we have summer camp here from June 12 to June 19. You can stop by and enjoy with them. So you do the work, you do any work with your parents, or you work kin anymore? Anything out
Walking?
there? Do you have any job?
Oh yeah. Right now I'm working as a research assistant at U of H.
What's that? Rest
Yeah, as a research assistant.
what's about?
So I help in the laboratories at U of H.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. But you finished your degree yet?
No, not yet.
Or what's your degree? What's your major?
Psychology.
Oh, okay. So how many years you still need to do?
I still need to do 1 year, so I'm a
One
senior.
more year?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. I'll be back. I'm sorry. I need to stop here.